Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome out to another episode of According to Kaz Queen. And as always, I am Kaz.
And I'm Queen.
And this is this little podcast of ours. These are conversations that happen between a husband and wife in the privacy of our own home that we bring to you guys to make you guys laugh, to be introspective. But most of all, we want to open the lines of communication up between men and women, husband and wives, friends and lovers, all of those good things in between. We appreciate you guys for the continued support. You can check us out on all streaming services. All right. All streaming services. And of course, you can check us out on Black with No Chaser. All right. Download the BWNC radio app. That's BWNC radio app. Download it and you'll be able to check out According to Kaz Queen every Tuesday at 7 p.m. A brand new episode. And if you like seeing our shiny faces, of course, we are on YouTube. That's youtube.com/Brad Kamikaze Franklin. All right. youtube.com/Brad Kamikaze Franklin. You know what to do. When I put my finger right here, boom, there it is. All right. Go to that YouTube page, like and subscribe. We're getting close to 900 subscribers, trying to get to 1,000. We're trying to monetize this channel, man. So support and tell someone else to support, and then have them to tell someone else to support. And we appreciate it. And also make sure you're following us on social media, and you'll see those along the screen as well. And of course, this is brought to you by the Kundi Collection. All right. www.kundicollective.com. That's www.kundicollective.com. KUNDICOLLECTIVE. KundiCollective.com. And I've got one on right now. Representing for the crib, Jacktown, my hometown, inspired by none other than Jackson, Mississippi's own fifth child, Stephen Brown. All right, so make sure you go to that website. We got designs for any state of mind. You know, it's a good way for you to express your blackness and express your love for Mississippi and the city. If you are from somewhere outside of Mississippi, of course, we've got a lot of great designs also that are not Jackson or Mississippi designs. But, you know, we represent like we rep at any rate. So, crazy week going on. I think we, coming on the heels of, the storm from last week. I think we were talking about not having any lights. There were a couple of days where we didn't have any Wi-Fi and internet service. I was very verklempt by that. I thought about switching Wi-Fi providers a couple of times.
You were just having a hard time.
I was at the week. It's been a tumultuous, I'm talking about a harrowing week and a half. So even after the podcast dropped last week, we still didn't have Wi-Fi at that time. It took a couple more days for that to get cut on. And I was about to switch because I went outside and I saw a lot of AT&T. It was like 4 AT&T vans on our street. And we don't have a short street, but it's not really long. It's like 30 something houses on the street. And I saw 4 AT&T vans out here getting their service back on. I didn't see any Xfinity vans, and it pissed me off. And then I put up a post about it on Facebook, and ironically, everybody was like, don't do it. Don't do it.
I was about to say, people are not happy with AT&T either.
AT&T did not get any favorable reviews. There were a few people that were happy with it, that said they'd have a problem with Xfinity. There are a few people that was like, Xfinity is the best service, but their customer service sucks. Then there were some C-Spire people that jumped in there. There's a couple of Uverse people that jumped in there, but most of the people was like, hey, if you switch over to AT&T, you're going to be switching back. So ironically, right after I made that post, I came home and the Wi-Fi was back on at that point. So
patience,
Xfinity,
patience is a virtue.
You have survived another day. You have lived to fight on for a few more days. We'll see what happens when the next storm hits. Yeah, we wore that hotspot out. The hotspot was wore out. I've never gotten a text from Verizon saying that my hotspot minutes have been used up, because we never use it really, except, if I'm traveling or something along those lines and in the vehicle. But we burnt that hotspot up watching, streaming services on my little iPad. It was like we were just camping out back there. But It's a crazy week, but we have been without the little one this week. We are, two parents without kids out here doing what grown folks do when the kids ain't around.
We've done nothing.
I mean, well, they didn't know that until you said it. I mean,
It has been just as regular as possible as it could possibly be.
Except it's kid free.
Yeah. Which really is not really that big of a difference either.
She's having way more fun than we are. Let's just say it.
Yeah.
Say that. I mean, we have gone out, though. We've gone out.
Yeah, but we go out when she's here.
Saw the Flash movie.
Yeah. I liked it, by the way. I liked it a lot.
Yes.
And I'm hearing a lot of people say they didn't like it. But I really liked it. I always like when they bring universes together. That's why I like Doctor Strange so much. Mm-hmm. I like when they, let us see different versions of. That's actually why I like Flash, the TV show.
Right.
Because it's kind of corny when you think about it. It's
the
a little
TV
corny.
show, has a much lighter budget than, of course, the movie. So a lot of the stuff that you see, they got to make shift. The villains, a lot of times on the Flash TV show, are really cornball. They're some of the lower tier. They're all DC villains. They're not making the villains up, but there's like low tier villains that you can bring to the screen that don't have, superpowers that you can't produce on a TV show budget.
Yeah, and they gotta introduce it and end it in one episode. Mm-hmm. So it can't be too nobody with too much.
Well, the Flash seasons, they have a villain for the show, and then there's a big villain that runs along. So shouts out to everybody that likes the Flash TV show. We ended up watching the final season of The Flash. The movie was cool. I thought it was cool because they brought, different versions of Batman back in. Wonder Woman was in it. Aquaman was in it. So I think it was cool. They brought, what some would describe as the worst of the Batmans, maybe next to worst, in George Clooney, showing up at the end. I think Val Kilmer is going to go down in history as the worst Batman.
I would agree with that. I don't know what you'd be looking for when you make the determination of who's the best and who's not, because Michael Keaton is one of my favorites, and I actually like George Clooney. Now, I do realize that he was a little bit more, ladies' manish than he was like Ben Affleck, this kind of stoic and kind of aloof.
I like
dark.
Ben Affleck's Batman.
That's what I think about when I think of Batman. I think dark, just kind of.
Yes.
Face Knight. Value.
He's the Dark Knight, yeah.
So George Clooney probably didn't pull that off.
George Clooney's was the more quirky and the more funny of the ones.
That's not dark.
That was the one when he had
so that's what makes him
Robin.
Not
Batman
so
and
good.
Robin. Yes.
Yeah.
So that one is good. Michael Keaton, of course, the OG Batman. I forget what Edward from Twilight, that's going to be his name for the rest of his life. What his real name is. Robert Pattinson. Is it Pattinson or something like that?
Exactly it.
So he's the new Batman. We don't know if Ben Affleck is going to be back. Of course, for me, Christian Bale is the best Batman with the Dark Knight trilogy. I
don't like any of that trilogy.
It was super dope. And of course, it had the best ever performance of someone playing the Joker with Heath Ledger. You got to check it out, man. I'm telling you.
Babe, awesome. I tried to watch it. It was so sad.
It was dark. It was the closest interpretation to the Dark Knight series that you can get, because Batman is not, the Batman that everybody remembers from the 60s with Adam West and Burt Ward. That was the campy Batman. Dark Knight was written as a very dark series.
Yeah.
He's the world's greatest
And that's
detective.
what I don't like. I'm not really necessarily, I like, DC. I mean, they cool, but Gotham City is just so.
It's dark.
Yeah.
It's dark and it's crime infested.
That's why I was trying to explain to you when you told me that everything I watch is dark. It's not. It's heavy emotionally. I like heavy things because they help me work out emotion, but I don't like dark. So there's a difference. There's a difference between heavy and dark.
I guess.
Because dark doesn't necessarily have to do anything with emotion.
You've gotten back on this Grey's Anatomy kick again. And
I'm not really all the way in. I just didn't have anything to watch, and it's a reliable show.
There's so much more to watch. than that. I don't know what happened.
There
I've
are
seen
several
I've seen it
things-
on my screen too much.
There are several things that go. First of all, you still haven't done your 3 episodes, so you might want to pipe down.
You're just
But
putting
there
out
are-
all kinds of
There are
business out here.
several
ain't you?
things that go into how I pick my shows. One of which being they need to be very calm when I'm getting ready to go to sleep. I need to just be calm, not necessarily laughing. Laughing can come on after I have decided that it's time to go to sleep, right? But getting me to sleep, it has to be really calm. It has to be even tone, no ups and downs in the volume. And they have to be commercial free. So it's always going to be Netflix. So it limits what I'm able to watch.
Incidentally, I did watch
Or
an
Apple
entire
TV.
episode. The episode the other day with the guy that they had to get the heart, and they had to cut the line so that he could get the heart.
Oh, Denny.
I watched
You
that
watched
episode.
the Denny show?
I watched it.
Baby, that's tough. That's a hard one.
It was by force. And I don't know if it was because
I missed that show, so I must have been asleep.
I didn't feel like changing it. I didn't know if he
okay.
was asleep or not, but I did actually watch one episode. That was one. So there's 2. I really watched half of a few other episodes. That
I
have
don't
happened.
really have any real proof that you watched it.
I just told you what
I have to know
happened.
that you're watching it.
If I told you what happened, it's because I sat there and watched it.
That's not true.
It is
You
true.
could have been going to the bathroom and saw that part.
No, I'm not going.
You got to watch it from the beginning to the end, baby. And I need to see
I
it.
did. You had it on. We were in the bed.
Okay, what
and you
else
had it on.
happened in the episode besides that?
Death, hospital, doctor, shots, death. And that was it.
That's ridiculous.
That's the whole episode.
I can't
That's the
count
script
that. I'm
right
sorry,
there.
that doesn't count.
It
I can't count that.
It comes on. It comes in. Doctors talking. Yada,
That sounds
yada,
like
yada,
ESPN.
yada. No. That's not the. You know what I'm talking about. Boop, bloop, 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 bloop. Isn't that the Grey's? That's the Grey's Anatomy thing, ain't it? That's it.
That doesn't sound familiar to me.
You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
It's the little light little thing. Anyway, it comes on immediately. There's a couple of little funny things. You know, doctors talking, yada, yada, yada. Sexual tension between 2 of the doctors, yada, yada, yada. They set up all the patients. Then, you know, one patient lives, death, cold red, cold blue. No, it's a cold blue. Got to save this patient. Or maybe we save this patient. Cut the line. We need the
stop.
heart.
How did they save Denny?
They cut the line so that he would go to the top of the heart transplant list. And if they had not done that, he was going to die.
He was going to lose the heart to somebody else. Who
Yes.
could
And
use
she cut the line. And I think eventually she gets in trouble for cutting that line and ends up not being a doctor anymore. Is that
What
correct?
happened at the end of that episode?
Death is what happened.
That's not true. Something significant happened at the end of the episode. If you watched it, you should have seen it.
He died. Danny died.
Not at the
Because
end
he
of that
turns
episode.
into a ghost later.
You running like 3-4 different episodes together.
I mean, this is just a
You didn't watch the
Grey's
end because
Anatomy
you wouldn't
episode.
remember that. You would remember what happened at the end of that episode.
I try to forget. As much as I try to forget the bad episodes of my
Dr. Burke
life.
got shot.
The black dude.
Yes.
Got shot. The dude that's usually in the funny movies is funny in the movies that played Paul Rudd's brother in that movie where they went to the commune. He's always in funny shit, but he was serious this
Wanderlust?
time. Yeah. And he went out and he got shot. He got shot and the doctor got shot. Boom. There you go.
Okay. All right. I'll take that.
Yeah. That's one. And let me tell you, I'm exhausted. After just telling you, after just giving you that review, I am wore out just by telling you that right now. So I don't even want to.
I will not deny that it will wear you out. It will. It definitely will. But it helps you exercise your emotions, not exercise.
It's demons.
No, it's
So
not.
it is
Stop
exercise.
it.
Anyway,
What you got? What we talking
we're
about?
going to move
tonight?
on. So we're going to talk about some things from the perspective of parents today. A couple of things that have happened, but they kind of strung together and it was just incidental. First, there was President Joe Biden. There's a picture of him embracing and kissing his son on the cheek, which of course caused social media to be in an uproar, mostly from Republicans and conservatives that just want to try to find something negative to say. But then there were, of course, men, the homophobic ilk, who come out and they say, hugging on your son and kissing on your son, you're going to make him soft. There was the incident with the basketball player, the college player that was getting drafted in the NBA draft. He was doing an interview and he was running his fingers, kind of rubbing his fingers on his mom's thigh while she was talking. Knee. And people were in an uproar about that and saying that he was inappropriately touching his mother and what was going on there and that kind of thing. And then, of course, there was the picture of the man who had on the tutu and he was taking pictures with his daughter. And it just started a conversation with us about parents showing affection to kids, what you will do for your kids, what length will you go to for your kids, how you interact with your kids. And I kind of want to get your thoughts on that because I have my thoughts on it, especially from a man's point of view. But just the premise of parents, mothers, fathers, showing affection to their kids. You are the mom, of course, but, you know, you have a son and a stepson. So, you know, it's kind of, you know, there's one side of it for you, and then there's for me having sons, of course, and then having two daughters as well. The showing of affection to your kids as a parent.
So there are a lot of things that have to be considered here. The first is that women who have an issue, who take issue with Joe Biden kissing his son, or the man in the tutu with his daughter, or even the Kobe guy that was, I think his name is Kobe, can't remember his last name, but him rubbing his fingers on his mom's knee. So you got to pick you got to be real clear what the battle and what the struggle is here, okay? Because we complain often about men not being emotionally intelligent and not being affectionate towards women in relationships, right? And we talk about men not being given spaces where they can openly express their emotion. Do you know why that exists? It exists because of the mentality that we've carried for so many years that prevented men from being able to show emotion to their children, who then learn that behavior and teach it to their children, and so on and so on and so on. So in order to break that curse, to actually have a generation of men who are comfortable showing emotion, recognizing emotion, feeling and embracing their emotion, in order to do that, we got to start by showing affection to them as young people, right? So you, on one hand, are saying men aren't emotionally intelligent, but on the other hand, you're saying treating kids, especially boys, with affection is going to make them soft. Which one do you want? Pick a battle. Because the only way that we're going to get men who are emotionally intelligent and capable of feeling and expressing emotion is that we make them comfortable with receiving emotion.
Yes.
That starts with the parents.
Yes.
So kudos to them for showing that emotion. And as for the guy, the draft guy who was rubbing his mom's knee, clearly, you guys are idiots. Clearly, that was a nervous reaction. Yeah. He was clearly nervous and found his soothing through touching his mother. That is fine. That happens. Now, I'm not going to get into how old you got to be before you stop and all that, because I don't actually believe it should stop. You know, as long as you have, and then it becomes an individual thing with you and your children. You have to have an understanding, and you have to have an understanding of who your child is and provide for them what they need, right? So whether you choose to do it or not, that's on you. But understand that we gonna have to deal with your children once you get done with them. What you give to them, that's what they gonna put out when they get out into the world. So would you rather them be emotionally guarded, or would you rather them be able and capable of providing the world with emotion and being well-rounded emotionally? I personally prefer the latter. So I think that, you know, we need to start. We can't change stuff without changing stuff. So stop acting like you want to see something different when you're not willing to do what it takes to get the difference.
Amen. I think also we have to come to grips with the fact that we live in a society that has over-sexualized everything.
My God, preach on it.
we have sexualized even the smallest, most mundane things, and we turn them into these sexual things because that is the first place that our minds go to. Unfortunately, everything is a sexual thing. This guy's rubbing his mom's thigh. That's inappropriate for a child to be touching a mother in his way. What they got going on? What are they doing? What is that mom doing to him that, he's cool with touching her in that fashion? It was clearly a nervous tick. Absolutely. This man was on national TV. He was just drafted into the NBA. He was with his mother, who probably is his place of comfort.
Absolutely.
His place of solace. He was not looking up. It was a nervous twitch, and he was touching and being soothed by having his mother.
It wasn't even a rub. It was a touch, and he was doing it continuously. And that's all he needed to keep himself grounded.
And it was nothing sexual about that at all.
Not a thing.
The father with the tutu on, y'all are so homophobic. It is so disgusting at the level of homophobia that exists between men and women. It's ridiculous. It is embarrassing. The level of homophobia that exists. I am a girl dad, okay? And I consider myself to be a girl dad because my firstborn was a girl and my youngest is a girl. There is no depth. There is no hill. There's no valley. There's no river. There's no length that I would not go to appease my daughters and to show love to my daughters. There's no length. When the little one was, both of them really, when the little one was that age, and an infant and a toddler walking around, in the cute stage, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, innocent, oblivious to the world, having not been in school yet and been around kids and been on the internet and all of that. In the adorable stage, she could have asked me to put on anything, and I would have put it on to appease her. Okay, I'm secure in my manhood, and this is a gentleman tattooed out. Clearly, he probably would have, put a shank in any one of you for saying what you were saying if you were, up close to him.
He was very hard looking.
Yeah, and this man put on this tutu to appease this little girl and to show his affection to his daughter. There's nothing homophobic about that. Y'all associate wearing a tutu. Y'all associate everything with being gay, with it being homophobic, with people being emasculated, and you don't have any idea or any concept of what it means to be masculine when you say that. You don't have any idea or concept of what it means to be emasculated when you say those things. That is the issue that we have now with a lot of our kids and a lot of these fathers who grew up in a household where there was no love. You don't have any idea the number of men that I run into and the number of women. I think you've even said this to a degree. The number of women who had fathers who did not tell them that they loved them, who did not hug them, who did not show affection to them at all, showed no soft side to them at all, because they grew up in generations where men were told that you cannot show emotions. If you show emotion, if you cry, if you show love, you are soft. And that's how you were raised. And now in this modern time where men are becoming more intellectually, emotionally intellectual, emotionally intelligent, you feel like a fish out of water because it's weird. It's strange for you to see a man kiss his son. I kiss my son on the forehead when I see him. When I've missed him, I hug him. I try to embrace him, even though, he's not always, like receptive to it. But I love my children so much that I want them to feel love. I tell them that I love them. We do this every day with the little one. I tell her that I love her every day when she's getting out of my truck at school, before she goes to bed at night. Randomly during the day, I do it now just to see what she's going to do. Randomly during the day, I will call her into the room and say, hey, come here for a second. And she'll get in there and I say, I love you, just to see, just so she'll know. And even if she doesn't say it back, or if she thinks it's corny, she at least knows that her daddy loves her, and she at least knows the level of affection that, I'm not afraid to show her. I hug her. I embrace her. I embrace my son. I embrace all of these kids, and I let them know that, we are here and we are a refuge for you emotionally when you need it. Okay. They have seen us vulnerable. They have seen us cry. They have seen us be angry. They have seen us struggle. And these kids need to know that they are loved. Okay. I didn't hear "I love you" often in my household. I did hear it, but I didn't hear it often. Okay. I didn't start embracing and hugging my dad until I was a full grown adult and he got older. Didn't start embracing my mother until I got into adulthood. And that was only because I got out into the world and I realized how hard it was being a grown up. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, I understood what it was they was putting us through. But there's men and women who've never had a man in their life that was not somebody they were having a relationship with say that they loved them and embraced them and hugged them. And it has nothing to do with sexuality at all whatsoever. The picture with Joe Biden kissing his son on the cheek, I completely understand the sentiment behind it. Because if you really love these kids, you love them and you love them hard. And go ahead.
But it's not necessarily just about you showing them love. What it is what it's teaching them about who they are. Mm-hmm. We have to start recognizing that if we want things to be different for our children and in the world that we live in, we have to actually contribute something to that. So what that means is what this young girl is learning from her dad's willingness to put a tutu on and take a picture with her is that I am lovable by any means necessary. I am lovable. Mm-hmm. And the man that I am with should be willing to do whatever he needs to do to make me feel comfortable. Now, what that's going to end up doing is setting the standards really high for these young men. Mm-hmm. This man is teaching his daughter already to accept nothing less than what you need to be happy.
And a lot of men are scared of that.
Absolutely.
A lot of men are scared of that.
And we, so we're going to you're going to start seeing this elevation in the mindset of the woman. So we need these men to rise as well. So your boys and your girls got to be taught differently. And I think it's kudos all around for everybody that we mentioned because they pushing the envelope. And that's what it's going to take. We're going to have to stop doing old stuff because it was just what we were taught. Mm-hmm. When we know better, we do better. Mm-hmm. And we understand what it's looking like these days, how men are treating women because they don't know what to do with their emotion. They don't know how to feel it. They're not comfortable with it. Mm-hmm. They feel less than because they actually have emotion. Mm-hmm. Like, we see what that looks like.
Yes.
And it does not fare well in good, loving relationships.
It leads to violence.
It does. Mm-hmm. And taking advantage of people and walking away too fast and not putting in the work. There are repercussions to a person who is not fully developed emotionally. Mm-hmm. So it's up to the parents. We can't just provide a roof and shelter and food. We also have to provide emotional stability. And that means that you're going to have to do things that may even be uncomfortable for you.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was not comfortable for him to kiss his son on the forehead, but you push through because now he needs to understand that he's going to have to do that with his child.
Yeah.
And so even if it's uncomfortable, you need to push through because we cannot have another generation of men who don't know what to do with their feelings, who have no way of showing affection, while raising women or daughters who are seeking that. Somebody gonna fall up short, so it's gonna take some work, but we got to do it to get it.
I mean, we got to break the curse, the generational curses we have to break them. I remember, when the movie, I forget the one that Denzel Washington was in, and
the son was in the hospital,
and he was saying, "I ain't gotta like you."
Oh,
what's the name of that?
That's Fences.
Yeah, Fences. And everybody was showing that scene, and the son said, "I don't think you like me," and then the whole monologue about, "I ain't got to like you. I do this, and this." And everybody was like, "Yes, this is what you got to tell the kids, and this is what they need to know." No. That's the problem, is because we got a generation of men that talk to their kids in that fashion, telling your kid that you don't like them and telling your kid that you provided for them just because you were doing what you were supposed to do as a man. That's not helping to pass on, and that's not helping to break generational curses at the end of the day. You know, treating kids and speaking to them as if they were some type of burden upon you that you had to take care of, and not saying I love you, not embracing them, not hugging them. You're sending those same men, those same sons out into society, and that cycle is going to continue over and over again. And it's unfortunate because, yes, we have a bunch of men who do not know how to express themselves. They do not know how to express their feelings, and it comes out in a myriad of ways. We have a lot of females who don't know how to express themselves, or they have not seen good examples of manhood in their home or in their community, so they go out and they seek it. And I think it's important and incumbent upon fathers to try to change that dynamic and that narrative. I want my daughters to hold every boyfriend that they have up against the standard that I have set for them. If he can't do, at the very least, if he can't love you like I love you, if he's not willing to do for you what I'm willing to do for you, if he doesn't take care of you in the fashion that I took care of you and looked after you, then he's not sufficient enough for you. And you'll be able to determine that on your own. As, you know, a father for my sons, your example will be set by, you know, what I did for my sons and how I was there for my sons through all of those trials and through the tribulations, and being available for them to come and talk to, and being a refuge. No matter how old you get, you know, if I'm needed, you call me on the phone and I'll be there. Regardless, you can always count on me to be there in the very least. If nothing else happens, I'm going to be available and accessible to you. And that's why that's important. So, you know, all the homophobia of the man wearing a tutu, you know, I think is great. And I think he's setting a great example. I understand exactly where Joe Biden is coming from, kissing his son on the cheek. That is love. And I understand what the young man is going through, because a lot of those basketball players, some of them are coming from single parent homes or raised by single moms. And those are the people that have been with them through all that process. And rubbing on her leg is nothing. Stop sexualizing everything. And it's the problem that we have for kids. Everything is being overly sexualized and homophobic.
Well,
and
understand that the reason why Black men have difficulty with emotion is because, you know, on the plantation, they're taught to be strong and to not show weaknesses. To, you know, the emotion is basically beat out of you because you were seen as property, not something living, you know. So if you still maintain that mentality today, you are still mentally enslaved.
Yes.
So freedom is what we need to be acquiring so that we can get to the point. Freedom from this cloud that we have to still be what the masters beat into us. We are not that anymore. So y'all say we not. We not. I ain't my ancestors. That's what y'all say. So since we not, we don't have to continue to treat our children the same way that they were forced to treat their children,
right,
which passed down generation to generation. Now that we know better, we understand that the wealth that we have actually comes from sharing ourselves, our love, our wisdom, our affection, our emotional selves with our children. Because if they don't get it from us, either they don't get it or they get it and it's mishandled. So you don't have to operate that way anymore just because that's the way it's always been for you.
Right.
You can change that. Offer yourself some healing so that you do not bleed on your children because they have not cut you.
Right. And FYI, because your grandmama did it, because Big Mama did it, because Paw did it, because your mama did it, doesn't necessarily mean it is right.
They did what they knew.
They did what they knew at the time. Stop saying, well, you know, this was good enough for my grandmama, and it was good enough for my granddaddy, and it was good enough for me when my parents was raising me. No, it wasn't, because they were wrong in a lot of instances, and because
they had to do it then. We're not on the plantation anymore. We're on a plantation, but we're not on the same plantation. So they did what they had to do. We need to recognize that now we're called to do something different. Right. Because the world is not the same. Not for us, not for them. It's not the same. So we have to handle the world the way it is presented to us and then change it.
That's it.
Because we do have the power to do that, but we can't keep going back and forth about how to get to the results if we're not willing to do the work that it takes to get us there.
And know the causes.
Yeah, got to know the causes.
So real quick, before we get out of here, I want to talk about this graduation incident. If you go to blackwithnochaser.com, as a matter of fact, this young lady gives an explanation for, what happened at this graduation. If you didn't see the viral video, a young lady grabbed or wrestled the mic out of deboed the mic out of one of the, I guess, professors or dean's hands at this graduation at this college. I forget what college it is or university. And she reclaimed her time. And she claims that she was not allowed to finish her name and that several other kids, quote unquote, white kids, were able to say their name and get their time and get an opportunity to introduce themselves. And when she tried to, the mic was lowered and she was asked to move on. And she said she worked too hard and she was going to get her day. And she made it about her and she threw the mic down and she walked off. The commentary is hilarious, by the way, from whoever the lady was that was videotaping it. Hilarious. She was having the time of her life watching this. So whoever that lady was, shouts out to you. This is the video is viral. But it brings the question of that we've had, even all the way down to elementary school and middle school, the graduations and the celebrations at the graduations and the kids coming across the stage and doing the dances and, whatever it is they're doing. And then there's a section of, folk who feel like it's too much and that's not the time and it's not appropriate. And then there's a section of folks that say, hey, these kids worked hard, give them an opportunity to shine on that stage for whatever reason and give them their diplomas. There was another video, I think, at a school where all of the ladies were fully clothed, garbed, or whatever the case was in the hijabs. I don't know what the exact term is, please forgive me. But she did the gritty. She hit the gritty walking across the stage, and the lady didn't even give her diploma. She got a diploma afterward, but she wouldn't give her the diploma on the stage. So there was those two incidents. Your thoughts on graduation ceremonies in these two particular instances as a parent who's been to graduations? What are your thoughts on that?
Listen, I might take a hit for this.
Uh-oh. Here we go. Here we go.
Listen, man, them graduations be too long for everybody to be able to get on the microphone or for to take the extra 2-3 minutes to dance a jig. It's 200, 300 people got to get a diploma. Mm-hmm. I think it is rude for that to happen when it's other people that have to come up there on the stage. Nobody wants to be in graduation for 2 or 3 hours. I don't. I certainly don't. After my kid got what they came to get, I really don't need to see nothing else. That's me personally. Then, it's a whole spectacle already, So I understand trying to put order into the ceremony. I understand. Fair. I think it has its place. Now, I was able to see one school where after they got the diploma and was off the stage, they did a little jig, and it was clearly okay and co-signed by the administration of the school because they let them get across the stage, which meant that it did not hold up the line or anything like that.
True.
It was over in the corner. Everybody that wanted to do something did it. Didn't interrupt the program at all. Afterwards, there was a whole flash mob thing that they did. But it's over. So if I'm in there and I don't want to see the mob, I can leave. I'm not being held up. So I think there's something to be said for decency and order and respect for other people's time. I, went to a graduation at a white school. They don't want you to clap. They don't want you to do anything. That graduation was literally over in 30, 45 minutes.
It's just like white church.
It is. And I appreciated that. However,
that's fair.
However, it was so many, it was such a small number of minorities that were graduating that you could tell when a minority went across the stage, because you would hear a hoop or a holler or something like that. But it was still very respectable. It didn't interrupt the time. It didn't interrupt the flow of the ceremony or any of that. And plus, people be having more. I mean, these facilities have more than one graduation a day, so they trying to keep it moving. So yeah, I think it's something to be said for being decent and in order. I also can respect this young lady for feeling like, okay, why you won't call my name out or why you won't give me my time. However, I think her display was out of place.
Slamming the mic down might have been a little bit too much, but I'm going to say this. It's 2023. Y'all going to have to figure it out, because the kids these days are going to want to hit the gritty. They're going to want to do the Dougie. They're going to want to do their jig. If you at the colleges and universities, these fraternities and sororities, they're going to want to, bust out a hop real quick. They're going to want to do something. They're going to want to do a chant. Something is going to happen. Get together and get it figured out. There is something to be said for decency and order, but these kids have worked their asses off. They've worked hard. I understand how they did it in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, and we stood there and, the whole holding your applause to the end and that kind of thing. Y'all going to have to figure it out. And especially,
just do what that other school did. Let them do it after
let them
stage,
do it
over in the
afterward.
corner. Give them a specific area to go over there and celebrate.
Because if you do it for one, you got to do it for everybody.
Yeah.
So every school is not going to have that cool administrator and that cool president that understands it. If you are at an institution where there's going to be a white person at the end of the stage that's going to be holding that mic and your diploma, they really are not really for any of the extracurricular. So you got to get it figured out, and you got to figure it out beforehand or do something afterward. But I do not agree with, not letting these kids express themselves. So you got to figure it out. There has to be a healthy medium. Yes, the graduations are too long. I feel like when the kids get the diploma, they should be able to walk out when they get their diploma. Okay. I think you should let the speaker speak. I think the keynote speaker needs to have a very short speech, say something really inspirational.
I could do without the speech.
Call the kids' names. When they get their diploma, let them walk outside.
But I guess the speech ain't really for us. It's for them.
The speech is for them. So I get that. But, the speech doesn't have to be long. You get in there, you knock it out real quick. You go through there, let the kids get a diploma. When they walk off the stage, they walk out. Because then at that point, if I'm a parent and my kid has their diploma, we can go outside and we can leave.
If I was an administrator of a school, I think that I would select a student committee.
Yes.
To put the graduation together.
Yes.
Just to see what they want from a graduation instead of continuing to do what's always been done just because it's always been done.
That's it. So let these kids have their time and get it figured out, because they're going to want to do their thing. And if you don't let them, then more things are going to happen and more mics are going to get snatched. You're going to get a whole
lot of backlash, and people going to do it anyway.
And ma'am, let the mic go. She was trying to get the mic. Let the mic go.
Yeah, she added to it.
That could have escalated. You was trying to snatch the mic back. If you let her have the mic and do her thing, it was cool, because you wasn't in a position at your age, ma'am, to fight it. Okay, that could have been much worse, because she could have failed and tumbled.
That's why she had that job. They put her there for that.
Yeah, she did.
Because they knew she was going to cut up with them.
Because it was going to go bad. Just let the mic go. It's not worth it at the end of the day, at any rate. So we're going to go ahead and, bid our adieu for this edition of Kaz Queen. We appreciate you guys for sticking with us. Of course, make sure you're following us on all streaming services. All right. On Spotify, Google Play, Google Podcast as well. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We are also on Instagram. Queen is now back on Twitter. So, if you see Sippy Earth Queen on Twitter, make sure you follow her.
That's not true.
Oh, you back on there?
I am?
Yeah, you back on there? You know you's back on there?
Baby, I've always been on there. It's just not me.
You back on there?
I got my page back?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You back on there? We talked about that. We had a whole conversation, remember?
Not really, baby.
You don't be listening to me, man.
I don't be listening to you.
Well,
Thank y'all for tuning in today, though. Don't forget to shop at Kundi Collective. Get you a good T-shirt for the power and the culture.
And Queen Franklin's Closet as well. Queen Franklin's Closet 601 on Instagram. We're going to get this new Queen page up too. Got to convince you to do that as well.
I don't know what he's talking about.
You're a public figure, man. You know what we're talking about.
I don't know what he's talking
These
about.
are conversations.
He's drifted off into
These
some
are,
other
these are,
land.
These are conversations that have happened between a husband and wife that I just brought to you. But these are conversations that we had. At any rate, ladies and gentlemen, for According to Kaz Queen.
And I'm
We're going to holler at you guys next time.
Peace.